So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los
Because the fact of
Angeles.
the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty.
What you witnessed there is the detainment and handcuffing of a sitting United States Senator at a press conference of the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem. He was detained for simply asking a question. The thugs pushed him away, detained him, handcuffed him, put him down on the ground and handcuffed him. We'll see another video here and we'll talk about it on the other side. This is really
And balancing. Sir, hands up, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed.
On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I find behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground. And I was handcuffed. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable.
silence the opposition voices. This is what a dictatorship, authoritarianism looks like. This U.S. Senator was there to do his job, ask questions, and try to find solutions to what's going on. But this is what America has put into office. This is coming directly from the top. This type of attitude, this type of demeanor, this type of thuggery from these law enforcement, ICE agents, FBI, Homeland Security agents across this country is coming directly from the top. And this is what America is going to be for at least the next 3 years until we get the opportunity to vote out the Republicans in the midterm elections. I will say this over and over and over again. The solution to this problem and turning this country back around into the right direction where dissent is respected, where you can ask questions, you will not be detained illegally. Due process will be put back into place. The only way this is going to happen is if we go out to the polls in masses and vote out the enabling Republican representatives on Capitol Hill. We'll hear from Senator Cory Booker next up, and then we'll got another clip that we'll end this video out with. Thanks for tuning in. Let's hear from Senator Cory Booker and what he has to say on this issue.
Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from New Jersey.
I never thought I would imagine having to stand here and discuss what I saw today. A United States senator in his own community, in the city in which he grew up, elected under the authority of the people, stepping forward to get answers to legitimate questions, and we see him being thrown to the ground after being removed from a room forcibly and put into handcuffs by multiple people. This, to me, is such an abuse of authority. It is a violent act, and there can be no justification of seeing a senator forced to their knees, laid flat on the ground, their hands twisted behind their back, and being put into restraints. If you see the video, at that point, he's not fighting, he's not pushing. But this is a pattern and a practice. This is not an isolated incident. I remind people that in my own community, in the city of Newark, we had a congresswoman and a mayor at a facility. The mayor invited into the gate the congresspeople, invited into a conference room, and then the mayor asked to leave, who did leave, and then numerous agents run out to arrest that mayor. Now, the judge in this case said it was outrageous, reprimanded the Trump administration for the arrest in and of itself. We see time and time again with this administration trying to precipitate a response by the misuse and the abuse of force. This is more akin to authoritarian governments. When you see a democratic nation having their executive begin to arrest mayors, begin to arrest judges, begin to arrest a United States senator who is simply asking for answers to their questions, to remove them from a room forcibly, to throw them to the ground, to put them in restraints. This is something that we should not tolerate. And by we, this is not Democrats and Republicans. This is we in this body. We have a constitutional obligation to provide oversight to the executive, a constitutional obligation to ask questions, to make inquiries, a constitutional obligation to check and balance the authority of the executive. And so here we saw, before our eyes, a senator in their district, in their state, asking questions, and we see him being shoved out of a room, but it did not stop there. Shoved to the ground, shoved onto his belly, and have his arms pulled behind his back. This should outrage every United States senator. This should outrage every United States senator.
There you have Senator Cory Booker, one of our leaders of the Democratic Party, speaking out on behalf of his colleague and on the behalf of the country. We have to stop this lawlessness. It's going to take us all. We'll end this video with the press conference from Alex Padilla, Senator Alex Padilla himself, on what he experienced today and how we should go about moving forward from here. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Everyone needs to be up on the news. Please share this video and others of this type so we can all be informed moving forward. Thanks a lot. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for your time.
Line aside, guys. Line aside. We're right here already. Line aside, guys.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Never put your hand on me. Whoa.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statements. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues, have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say. We'll have more to say in the coming days. Let me say just briefly in Spanish as well. Soy el senador Alex Padilla y estuve aquí porque tuve una junta para recibir más información de los representantes de la administración, especialmente porque desde el principio del término de Donald Trump y especialmente esta última semana por lo que ha ocurrido aquí en la región de Los Ángeles, hemos pedido más información para entender las pólizas, las estrategias de la administración. Y las respuestas han sido mínimas. Tuve una junta aquí para recibir más información cuando me di cuenta que la secretaria Noem tenía una rueda de prensa en el mismo edificio, en el mismo piso. Calmamente fui a escuchar para ver si podría aprender algo nuevo sobre los esfuerzos, las acciones del departamento. A un punto de la rueda de prensa traté de hacer una pregunta. Muy calmado, todo tranquilo, tuve una pregunta y casi inmediatamente los agentes me sacaron, me forzaron de la sala. Primero me hicieron hincar, después completamente al piso me pusieron esposas. No me arrestaron, no me detenieron. Pero una gran pregunta es esta. Si esta es la reacción a un senador con una pregunta, imagínense lo que están haciendo con cocineros, jornaleros, campesinos y otros inmigrantes no violentos en la comunidad de Los Ángeles, en otras áreas del estado de California y en el país. No voy a tomar preguntas en este momento, pero sí quise explicar lo que ocurrió y tendremos más que decir en los días que vienen. Just want to once again, for not just the community here in Los Angeles, but throughout the country, because there is a lot of concern, there is a lot of tension, there is a lot of anxiety, and a lot of people are beginning to make plans for what they may or may not do come this Saturday. I encourage everybody to please peacefully protest, just like I was calmly and peacefully listening in that press conference and preparing, attempting to ask a question.
Why did you
no violence, no vandalism. Please continue peacefully protesting, and that's all I will have to say today. Thank you very much.
Can you give us any insight what you and the secretary said afterwards?
Why did you come in and do that? Why did you disrupt it?
Christine, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but as you see, Senator Padilla is walking away from the press.
I ask you guys to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you.